Welcome here into another episode of the News4JAGs podcast. Jamal St here alongside Justin Barney. Justin, another day of training camp in the books. This might be the hottest one so far, but it was also probably the best one for the Jaguars offense we've seen to date.
Finally.
I mean, the bar was set low, but it was probably the best one.
I had a chance to ask Evan Ingram today about the outsiders, the noise, the chirping after the offensive slow start.
Sure.
He said, I'm not worried about it. I don't look at anything that anybody else writes or says or tweets other than people in this building. He's not worried about anything like that. So after hearing from Mitch Morse last week, Evan today, I think they're going to be just fine. But it's good to see, starting week 2, the offense playing a little bit better. Brian Thomas Jr. actually showed some life today, had a nice touchdown catch.
With Darby in coverage.
Mm-hmm. And so I did think there was positive steps forward for the offense entering week 2. That's something we did not see a lot of last week.
No, I mean, last week the offense was turning it over left and right. Today, a positive step in the right direction. We heard Doug Peterson say, look, it's not a big deal. It's the first week of camp. Don't write it off. He said what we kind of said here at one point last week. Defenses typically start training camp ahead of the offense. Doug Peterson echoed that. Evan Ingram has said the same thing. Mitch Morse has echoed it. They're not concerned about it. Now the question is, do they rebound? We'll wait and see. We saw Brian Thomas make the big play today. We also saw a couple other big plays from guys. Christian Braswell came up with an interception. Today was a big day for Christian Braswell. I mean, this is a guy, I think when I did my 53, I think I had him on. I don't think you did.
I don't think I did.
My last 53 are way too earlys. I had Christian Braswell making it. You didn't. That just goes to tell you that this is a bubble guy who had a really good day. I mean, a couple of pass breakups and came up with an interception during one-on-one. So, big day. Don't remember the quarterback. I know it wasn't Trevor, for those of you that wondered. It was either Mac or CJ.
Yeah, and I touched on a guy before we got on, Joseph Skates. Had a very good practice. Kind of this bottom of the roster guys, the guys we need to watch, because there's 53 spots, there's practice squad spots at stake here. You know there's probably going to be some guys. I mean, when we did our 53, we said these are guys. You know who the locks are. You know there's probably 40 to 45 guys who are locked on this roster. So those guys like Joseph Skates, the Buster Browns, those kind of guys are the guys you really have to watch in plays like that, where Joseph Skates had a couple good plays, touchdown catches, and I don't even know who threw them, but I know he caught a couple of those today. I thought it was good. Christian Braswell ended that one-on-one, or the one-on-one period, right, with a pick? One-on-one. And so those guys, those plays, those guys, the 53 kind of bubble guys, these are huge days for the guys. I know we make issues of the offense and the struggles, but it is big for these guys, the Skateses and the Browns and those guys trying to fight for that roster spot.
Speaking of, you mentioned locks and bubble guys, and it brought something that somebody said to me during practice. A fellow media member posed the question of, do you think Roy Robertson-Harris is safe? He was brought here to be a 3-4 defensive end. They're moving to a 4-3. They've drafted Mason Smith. They drafted Jordan Jefferson. They drafted Tyler Lacey. There's a lot of competition there. He's no longer a starter. A lot of money owed. If they cut him or moved on from him, there'd be a lot of dead money.
True.
But I think that does pose at least a reasonable assertion of would they lean toward their drafted guys and just how safe is this guy? I think Roy is safe. But I do at least see that other perspective of maybe he's not.
No, it's totally on the board. I mean, he's got Eric Armstead on that line now. You invested a second-round pick. Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson's a day 3 guy from LSU. So I do think it's a fair question. I think the contract would probably be a little prohibitive to move on from him in terms of dead money.
One more year.
But I think it's in the question of where does he fit in this Ryan Nielsen defense. And through 5 practices, Ryan Nielsen's defense has looked sharp. Ryan Nielsen looks like the anti-Mike Caldwell at this point.
Very different. Got a chance to talk to Darnell Savage after training camp practice today. Savage has been in the red jersey. He said he doesn't really like that. He's itching to kind of get out there and go full go. But he likes this defense. He likes that guys are going out there and competing. And he said his role, he's going to be their slot defender, their nickel guy. Very different from what he was asked to do in Green Bay. But he said he feels like that this role fits his skill set better than what he was asked to do previously.
Interesting. And last week, somebody asked about who is the alpha in this room.
I asked him about that too.
And Doug Peterson has talked, and Trent Baalke has talked about Darnell Savage almost ad nauseum when you're talking about impact defensive players. We haven't seen him, Savage, really be able to go that full contact and hitting and everything. Pads come on tomorrow. But they love Darnell Savage. They love Darnell Savage. So I will be looking forward to see him getting that red jersey off and the hits start to come, because you think he's chomping at the bit. Doug and Trent are raving about this guy.
Yeah, when I asked him about what Doug Peterson said, he said, takes one to know one. He said he liked that Doug had that to say about him, and he's still trying to earn everybody's respect of the coaching staff, even though he's still a new guy here. But Darnell Savage is a guy that I think we'll definitely be keeping an eye on over the course of training camp and into the regular season.
Right.
I said it when they signed him, if you want a defensive jersey, that's the one you go get. Because it's evergreen, Look, it just says Savage on the back with the number 6. It looks good.
Reminds me of the old the XFL jerseys, the He Hate Me on the back. Man, so Savage fits right.
I still want me a He Hate Me jersey. Rod Smart, I still need to get me one of those. But overall, I think this was a solid day. Pad's going tomorrow, so this was kind of the calm before the storm. So a lot of the guys are going to be excited for that. That first day in pads, it normally isn't too crazy, kind of that acclimation period. But it is where things start to get ramped up.
I think it's after hearing Mitch Morse last week, I don't think they look forward to the pads coming on so they can hit each other. I think they're looking for the pads to come on so they can hit those Bucks or the Falcons in those joint practices.
Yeah.
I think that's when we'll see the real hit. And last year it seemed like a more scaled down in terms of the big hits in padded practices.
Healthy.
Yeah, to keep guys healthy. The hardest hit I've seen in training camp with the Jags. I don't think you were there. I think you were coming back from a preseason game.
That was Canton.
Canton. Okay, you were coming back from Canton. So the hardest hit I've ever seen was Cisco on Travis Etienne over at Episcopal, and that came in a padded training camp practice right after the Hall of Fame game. So that was you do see some things like that when those pads go on. That potential is there for that big hit.
That was when Travis was still running straight upright. He wasn't running behind his pads yet. I was asked the question of if I thought tomorrow's training camp practice would be sold out. I think it should be. I don't know if it will, but because they haven't really publicized that's the first padded practice. But we'll see. I'm kind of upset. I won't be here for tomorrow. I'm going to miss a couple of days of training camp. But Justin and Alessandra are going to have you covered. There'll be plenty of coverage rolling out over on News4JAGs.com. This is Monday, so we'll have a new episode of Teal the Show coming your way tonight at 11:20 on Channel 4. That'll also be online on News4JAGs.com and News4JAGs Plus afterwards. Then we'll have another one of those on Friday. And hey, I know this is a little bit of a different sport, but high school football is right around the corner.
Yep.
Thursday, High School Football Media Day. Justin and Alessandra are going to be live at High School Football Media Day as we roll out our new high school football coverage on Channel 4, Varsity 4. So they're going to have a little bit of a pre-show kickoff, get you ready for the regular season, talk to the top guys in the area. Going to be a lot of fun.
Jaguars are off that day, too.
Jaguars are off that day, so you're not missing something.
It's nice to be able to focus on that. So these guys, these Jaguar players, remember their high school days very fondly.
Current Jaguars, and then you get a chance to take a day to talk to maybe some future Jaguars. There'll be somebody that crosses that desk.
And can you believe 1 week from Friday, first preseason game right here? It's here. It's here.
Yeah, and it'll be here before we know it. Football season is cranking up. We're getting ready for everything. Best way to keep up with all of it, just head over to News4JAGs.com. I'm telling you, if you haven't checked it out, we got more coverage than anybody else in town. You can go tell them I said it. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.